Hello everyone and welcome back to the World War II Solitaire board game channel. Well, it's finally time to play a game of Halls of Hegra. A game that I've been very excited to share with you all, partly because it's just the battle where this took place is just about 4 hours from here. So not very far away at all. I'm currently in Sweden, and as you know, Halls of Hegra was the fortress in Norway where the Norwegians defended against repeated German attacks. So anyway, we're gonna start this video by the video quite far zoomed out. You can see it's actually quite a large game. It requires some table space. And that's why I had to check into a hotel for this night, because it's too large to record in my RV. I mean, there's definitely larger games out there like 20th Air Force and many more. Pablo's House, I would say, even that game takes more space than this, but it's large enough for me not to be able to record in my RV. So anyway, here we see the whole game. I've set up everything, and if you're curious about the setup, I'd recommend that you read the rules. Setup is quite easily, it takes about 15 minutes, I would say. And you see the whole game now, like, you know, down here is the board, up there is the event cards, and we have morale cards here to the side, and a bunch of counters, markers, and meeples. And we're not going to have this view the entire game, because I think when we're this far up, it's kind of limited how much you can see of the actual game. So we're going to get a closer look, but I just wanted to show you where everything is. So those event cards that you see up there are going to be like the core of the game. And to the left we have the mobilization deck, then we have the first attack. To the right of that we would have the first siege, or siege 1, but siege 1 is not used when you are playing on the easiest difficulty, which will we be doing in this game. And then you have the siege 2 deck, and then finally you have the last stand deck. So just keep that in mind. That's where I'm getting my cards from, and you know, you're not going to run out of them, so there's not going to be any need to reshuffle. But just to give you an idea of where everything is located on the table. So other than that, I'm just going to say that this is going to be a playthrough video which is going to feature all of the additional modules which are available. And the first module is going to be the advanced event cards, and they are mixed into the Siege 1 and Siege 2 decks. And as you remember, I don't use Siege 1 during this playthrough because it's not used when you are playing on the easiest difficulty level. However, there is an advanced event card in the Siege 2 deck that is waiting for me. And then we are also using the adjustable difficulty levels, and you can play this game from very easy to easy, normal, hard, very hard, and then just plain out brutal. So there's 6 difficulty levels, and we're gonna start on the very easiest one, which is very easy. And these turn tracks are used for that. So normally you would have the coup on turn 3 and retreat on turn 6, but if you play on very easy, you push those 2 turns ahead. So we're going to have the coup on turn 5 and retreat on turn 8. And then finally, we are also using the mission cards, which will give us a mission that we need to complete. If we complete it, we have a reward. If we don't complete it, we will have -3 morale. And you see the mission cards laying right there. Okay guys, let's get playing. Alright, so the very first thing we're going to do as we start to play is that we're going to reveal our mission card. The mission cards are 4 different cards, so there's 4 different missions. You shuffle them face down before you start playing, and you draw the top one. And our mission for this turn is no German infantry meeples on the board. So the infantry meeples look like this. And they will come on the board as the game progresses, but not until we reach the coup phase. So we can see here on the card itself that our reward will be a morale point, 1 supply point, and again 1 morale point. And the way this works is you can see the turns over here on the left side, and if we resolve it in turn 5 to 6, we get a morale. However, if we do it in turn 7 to 8, we are instead going to receive 1 supply and 1 morale, because you received the previous ones as well. So then in turn 9, we receive 2 morales and 1 supply point. However, if we do it in turn 10, we have to move the surrender marker down. And finally, in turn 11, we have failed and we will lose 3 morale points. So these are definitely a gamble. You have to focus hard, especially on the harder difficulty levels, to complete them. Because, I mean, moving the morale marker down, the surrender marker down and the losing 3 morale, that's a heavy penalty. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay that card right here to remember my mission. And then the remaining 3 cards, I'm going to go ahead and put back in the box of the game. Alright, so now we start on the very first turn, and the first thing we always do is draw an event card. So we draw an event card here from the first deck, because we're still in the mobilization phase. I don't know why my camera is fighting with me to focus. Anyway, you see down here on the track the mobilization phase, later moves on to first attack, siege 1, siege 2, and finally last stand. So that's how you know which card you're going to go ahead and draw. And then we'll go ahead and look at our card. And the card has a total of 3 different steps. So you always start up top, and we see a cloud. That means it's cloudy weather today. We have our weather marker here. It's already set to cloudy weather, so that's good. Otherwise, we would obviously move it to the weather that is for this turn. The weather will affect later on in the game, as we are moving here on the movement board to collect supplies and to eliminate German artillery and infantrymen. The weather will affect how long I can move. So if it's sunny, you can move up to 6 steps. If it's cloudy, you can move up to 5. And if it's snowy, you can only move for 4 steps. On top of that, if you have snow, you're going to have to move this snow marker. It goes all the way up to 5. And if it moves past 5, you will have to take a hit. And taking a hit means you will draw a token from the hit bag. And it starts with 1 miss token and 1 artillery token. A miss token is obviously going to be a miss, and an artillery token, if you draw that, you are going to have to push this to the right, the red cube. And when you hit an artillery piece, you have to put that out on the board. And the more artillery pieces that you have on the board, the more artillery shots you're going to have to take during the siege point of the game. So it really is in your best interest to not have any of those artillery pieces out on the movement board. In this hit bag, once we start repairing stuff, you can see we have damage tokens here on the gun, we have damage tiles or here on our defensive positions. When you repair those, you also put them in the hit bag. We also have air tiles here. Basically that represents the German airplane bombardments and so on. Those are also going to go into the hit bag later in the siege part of the game. And then you draw one, and it could be defensive position C, and that means basically that took a hit. So anyway, that's the snow markers, and you definitely don't want the snow to pile up too big. So you're going to have to shovel snow here in the maintenance area, and we're going to get to that later. And keep in mind, as I play, I'm going to be explaining the rules as I'm playing. And I'm going to try not to get too bogged down into the rules, so we have a fun time doing this as well. Okay, so we go back to our event card. We have done the first step out of 3, which is the weather. And then it's the event itself. And the event tells us we lose 1 morale, and we have to add 1 German infantry patrol. So morale is down here. And it goes all the way to +3 and a plus, or -3 and a minus. And we take it 1 notch down. And we're going to resolve the morale at the end of the day, here's all the way to the end here at 6. So we will discuss those things, what's going to happen once we get there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves too much, because it's just going to be a playthrough of me babbling rules. And then it also told us to put a German infantry patrol on a map. And I'm gonna stretch, you might see the bald end of my head as I'm leaning over the board. So here we have the patrol bag. The patrol bag has all of the German patrol tokens, and they have a side here which has a number, and that's where you're gonna put them on the map. So mix it up, and according to the event card, we add 1. Okay, so we got 1, which is number 3. And we go ahead and put it on the map. So on the map, we have a bunch of different rows and columns. So basically, up top is the green, then we have yellow, blue, and kind of orange. And we'll put this one obviously on number 3, which is over here. And it goes there, and let's see, there and there. And since we're in the mobilization phase, we're gonna put it in the green one. So green number 3 is over here. And the way to know which color you're in is you look at the track here. Mobilization is green, first attack is yellow, siege 1 is blue, and siege 2 is kind of orange. I guess it's orange. I'm kind of colorblind, so that's how you do that. Now we have completed step 2 out of 3 from this event card. Last but not least, we have to put 1 doubt token into our recruitment bag, and then we get to recruit. So I always take my event card and put it right here. I don't like put it in a discard pile far away, because sometimes it can be good to, look at that. For example, if we have to injure 1 defender, we have to follow this track here. So first we'll injure the blue ones, green ones, white ones, black ones, and I guess that's orange or brown. So that's kind of neat to have in hand. Okay, so step 3 out of 3 of the event card, we take our recruitment bag. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this bag before we get going. So in this bag we have our different soldiers, and we also have 1 doubt token. So this blue fella, that's a volunteer. And this brown one is a soldier. This white one is, I guess what, it's a medic. And the green one is a hunter, who's especially good at some things. They all have different advantages, all of them. And then finally we have 1 officer. And there's only 1 officer in the game. You start with the officer, and you can never gain an officer from the recruitment. So keep him safe, because he is very effective. Okay, so remember it told us to put 1 doubt token. It actually doesn't tell us to put 1 doubt token. It just tells us to put doubt tokens into the recruitment bag. So there can be up to 3 of these, and it's always a minimum of 1. So the way of knowing that is looking at our mobilization board here, and we'll look at the doubt track. It's currently at 1, and it can increase to 2 and 3. And it does that by, negative things basically by the Germans. It's gonna happen, so you're gonna see how that happens. But currently it's at 1, so we put 1 of these nasty little purple, pink doubt tokens in our recruitment bag, and we mix it up like we're mixing a drink. And now comes the fun part. Now we get to recruit. So when we recruit, we can recruit up to 4 soldiers. So we just put our hand in here. We don't know what we're drawing, but hopefully something good. Okay, I got a volunteer. So I'll put them here on the board. I'll call this let's put them over here. That's my recruitment area. Okay, so the thing is, you'll always draw 2 times. It doesn't make sense to draw any less. And this time I got a soldier. Now, if I want to, I could stop. Because if I draw one of those doubt counters now, or whatever you call them, doubt thingies, I will lose 1 of them. And I can only keep 1. And you can keep drawing until you reach 4. But if you ever draw one of those doubt tracks or doubt tokens, you'll have to remove all but 1 of the guys that you recruited. So that's kind of push your luck, or it is the definition of push your luck. Okay, we got a hunter, very nice. And I'm gonna keep going. There's 2 doubt tokens in here currently and quite a lot of other things. So that's awesome. I love getting the hunters early on because you can send them out on the map to gather supplies. You can dig snow, so they're very, very good to get early on into the game. So what you do is then you put these in the ready area. They come ready to fight. And for every one of these little blue ones, you actually gain 1 supply. So we start with 1 supply, and now we have 2. So that's the first part of the game. That's the event phase, and that's over. So we're now ready for what's called the morning phase. And the morning phase is putting out your workers on these different action boxes on the map. So before we do that, let's just briefly discuss our different kind of classes and what they can do. So soldiers, first of all, are very effective at fighting. So they are good to have in these defensive positions once you get to the first attack. And they're also very good at firing your guns, your artillery. And they're very good to have out on the board fighting German patrols and so on. The officer, his mainly thing that he's good for is to inspire. He can give you good morale, and he can promote defenders. So he can promote hunters and volunteers to become soldiers. He's also very good in the beginning of the game during the mobilization phase because he can negotiate more effectively than any other class. And we're going to get to all those actions as well. And then we have the hunter. I already spoke of him. Shoveling snow and getting supplies, that's his strong point. And the volunteers, well, the volunteers, I do appreciate them, but they're not really good for anything at all, except when you recruit them, when you put them in the ready area, as you draw them from the recruit bag, they always bring 1 supply point. And that's very much appreciated, especially early in the game. But once you got them, well, they're kind of limited. And the best thing to do with them is to promote them to become a soldier whenever you have the opportunity to do that. So those are our different kind of classes. And now let's go ahead and discuss what we can do in the day phase, because now it's the morning phase. We put out all of our guys, and then we get to the day phase where we get to do action. So first of all, we have the defend the walls, and we have 4 defensive positions totally. You can get an additional one with the field phone, a field telephone. You can put the officer there, and he can't fire, but he will support your troops by making them roll +1. So that's where you mainly want to have soldiers, because you can see later on in the game as we're going to be fighting, soldiers have a range that goes all over the battlefield. Officers can fire all the way over here. Hunters can fire all the way over here. Volunteers can only fire in the very closest box of enemy units. So soldiers is what you're going to want to have in these defensive positions. Then we have 2 actions here which are unique to the mobilization phase of the game. They disappear once you reach the coup. So normally they would disappear in turn 3, but in this game they will disappear in turn 5. You can open a new supply route by using 2 discs, and that's going to give you an additional supply routes here. So we start with 3 supply tokens. Each one of these gives us 2 + 1 supplies. Every time someone gets them and brings them back to base. We have 3 more supply routes which we can open. And that's done by doing that action. And then we can negotiate, and what that's going to do is move the fear track down and the doubt track down. You have to choose one of them though. You can't do both with one action. And here it's also you need 2 discs to do that, 2 defenders to do that. But if you use the officer, he has the power to do it on his own. So he's very useful for that. And we already discussed the doubt track. You want to keep that low because then you don't have to take as many of these doubt discs every turn of the game. And if you get all the way down here, you even get plus morale at the end of the game, which is very, very useful at the end of the turn. And the fear goes all the way up to 6, all the way down to 0. And the fear is that once you reach the coup, you're gonna remove defenders from the recruitment bag according to that number. So currently, if we were at the coup, you would go into the bag and pick recruiters. If you draw doubt disc, you will just redraw, and you would draw 3 of these, basically limiting your abilities to recruit new defenders in later turns. So the fear, you could argue that it's important to keep it down. It's something personally I don't spend a lot of energy doing, but I can see in harder difficulty levels it might be a valid tactic. And then we get to the guns. We need 2 soldiers. Soldiers and officers are the only ones that can fire the artillery. So we need 2 discs, either officer or soldier. And we can see here there's a volunteer, a hunter, and a medic with a cross over them, meaning they can't use that action. So firing the guns, you can either fire here when there's artillery to remove them. You remove a total of 4 per gun if they're unjammed and repaired. Or you can fire on the map, and you can remove also 2, either patrols or artillery. And then finally, you can also fire here at the airfield, which gives you actually 4 different options. You can remove one of these air tile stacks. You can get 2 miss tokens in your miss bag, or sorry, your hit bag. You can get +2 morale, or you can move the surrounder marker down. And the surrounder marker here, it starts on honorable surrender, goes up to surrender and unconditional surrender, which is a loss, and also goes down to truce and German retreat. And that's what's kind of going to show you when you end the game how high victory level you achieved. And also if it goes all the way up, you will have lost. So it's important to keep it in track, otherwise the game is going to be lost. And then we have the supply run. So here we only need to put 1 defender, and he gets to move around here. He can get supplies, he can remove patrols and artillery, and he can also lower the suspicion level. So that's the supply run. And then we get to the maintenance area. You can shovel snow, and I told you if it gets up to over 5, you have to draw a hit tile. But if it goes to 1 and lower than 1, so actually only lower than 1, you get to draw one of these. And these could be one-time rewards like morale and supplies, but they can also be positions that you put out here on the maps, and field telephone, map room, radio, medicine cabinet, and counter patrol, which and also the gun number 2, which gives you new actions that you can perform, which are very helpful. And then you can repair or unjam. The gun can become jammed, so you'll unjam it. And repairing is just removing this. You use 2 defenders to do it. You can't use an officer. You can't use him for shoveling snow either, by the way. And you remove one of them, always left to right when you repair. And you remove one of them. So for example, if I were to repair the guns now, I would have 1 fire mark. That means I could use one of the twin guns of that piece. Or I could use, to repair the defensive positions to be able to defend the walls. Bolster, add mistile or defense up. So adding a mistile is just like we spoke before. You take a mistile, put it in a hit bag, or defense up. So here on the defend the wall section, we have a defense track. It starts at 0. So for every number that you have, you can ignore 1 German meeple attack. So if you have 2 Germans attacking you while you're at 1 in defense, you will take 1 hit. If you have 2 defense, you take 0 hits. If you have 0, you're going to take 2 hits. So that's really important to repair. If it goes all the way down, you have to draw 1 hit from the hit bag. And promote, I discussed that. You use an officer and you promote a hunter or a volunteer to become a soldier. You can do it with a medic. And inspire, I told you about that too. You use 2 defenders or 1 officer, and you bring the morale marker up. So the morale is, you have low morale cards, high morale cards. Obviously the high morale cards are going to be good. The low morale cards are going to be not so good. And then we get to the infirmary, and this is going to be it. Then we're going to start playing, I promise. And the infirmary, you're going to have soldiers that are injured. And if you put a defender here, you can treat 1 patient 1 space up. The medic can do it twice, just one of them, because that's his specialty. So those are the options that we have right now. And like I said, when you start digging through the snow, you're going to be able to find more action boxes. So it's going to give you more options of more things to do. But okay, guys, I feel like I've been rambling a lot about the rules, and we're going to start playing now for real. And obviously, the further we go into this game, the less I'm going to have to talk about the rules. But I just wanted to go through that because otherwise you would have no idea what I was doing. If I explain it in detail before we go, you have a general concept of what's going on. And this game has a lot of things going on. This is a complex game. It's very easy to learn. It's very easy to play. But the first time you sit down, prepare yourself, you're gonna feel a little bit overwhelmed. And especially with this kind of situation where you don't really know what you should be doing in the first phase, because you don't really know what's coming for you. But I played this plenty of times now, so trust me, I know what's coming for me, and it's nothing good. Okay, so let's see what we want to do here. We have -1 morale because of our morale card. So we definitely want to do something about that. I'm going to go ahead and negotiate, which was bring this down. And then I'll do it more times because that's going to give me -2 morale. Oh, sorry, +2 morale. And again, this is unique for the mobilization phase, since this is removed during the first attack after coup. Okay, let's see here. I want to open a supply route. So I'll bring 2 volunteers to do that. And the question is what I should do with my hunters. They can actually... So one of them, he can reach this area. The supply route I'm going to open because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. And remember, it's cloudy. But then I'm going to open a supply route here, and that's 6 steps away, and he's not going to be able to reach it. So I think I will wait with him until we actually have sunny weather. So for this turn, I'm going to go ahead and shovel snow. And then I'll use 2 more of the tokens to negotiate, and 2 more. And this guy, the soldier, I think I'm just going to save him. I'm not going to do anything with him right now. And that's the end of the day phase, sorry, the morning phase. And now we get to the day phase, which is carrying out all of these actions. So we go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. So it's important that you do it in these steps, that you don't start with the supply runs or with the maintenance. You have to follow these steps. It's quite important that you do so. Okay, so first thing we have here is open new supply route. So these 2 workers go into the tired area. And then now I can choose which of the supply routes I want to open. I could open this, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps away. And I'm going to go ahead and show you these supply tokens, because each and every one of them has a special bonus. So one of these, if you bring it back to the base, they're going to give you 2 supply points. However, if I bring back one of these, it's going to let me take away 1 German patrol on the map. If I bring one of these, it's going to give me +1 morale. One of these, guess what? Well, a mist token, and one of these, a soldier in the ready area. So I really want to have soldiers. I found a lot of soldiers is the keys to success. So I'll open that one. And in this one, you can choose either 3 of these soldier tokens or 3 plus morale tokens. All right, and then we get to the negotiation. So we have 1 officer, he can do it alone. 1 volunteer and 1 soldier that do it, and then 2 soldiers. So these go to the tired area as well. And then the negotiation doubt track is going 1, 2, 3 down. So it's now as far down as it can become. And then we go to number 3, which is supply run, because we're not using number 2, which is the artillery. And our hunter moves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and reaches the supply depot. And now we have done all of our actions for the turn. So we now go to 6, which is morale. So we look at our morale modifiers. And then it says the first one is mobilization, doubt marker. So that gives us a +2, so it goes to +1 now from -1. We have red day, -1, we would have to take it down. But it's not a red day, we can see that on the turn track here, the red day is 6, 9, 10, and 11. Out of supplies, I still have 2 supplies, -1. Defenders in the waiting area, and that's here in the hospital, there's no defenders there. -1 per defender in the morgue, there's no dead defender. And -1 for a soldier in a red area, and the red area is up here. And that's the closest area to the walls, and there's no soldiers on the board at all, so obviously I don't have that. So then we read the instructions. Draw 2 high morale cards and resolve 1. So we draw 2 cards, and now we're gonna get to resolve 1. So there's 3 different ones here. You can see mobilization first, attack, siege 1, and siege 2. We are of course in the mobilization phase. So we can choose now to add 1 miss to the hit bag, or remove 1 doubt disc from the recruit bag, or gain 1 supply. I think I'm gonna go ahead and remove, I guess I should remove 1 doubt disc. I think that's a good way to do it. And then you go ahead and put these in the discard pile. So see if we can find that doubt, and there it is. So we put it in the reserve, and then we put our guys back into the bag. The track here always goes to 0 after you resolve it, and then you go to this part. So the morale, number 6, has A, B, C, D, E. So we resolved A and B, now we're at C. And that's a surrender track. And that's a check if you fail, if the game is lost. So we can see here, basically it pushes the surrender track up. So +1 if we have 3 or more defenders in the morgue. +4 if 4 or more defenders in the waiting area. +1 if we have 6 artillery pieces on the map. And if it goes all the way up, we lost. And then finally it says in the siege, so when you're in siege 1 and forward, if you have fewer defenders than the required number of healthy defenders. And the required of healthy defenders, that's the number right here. So currently it's 5, it could be 6. So the higher the number, the worse, obviously. So if we would have 5 healthy defenders, we would have lost in the siege. And healthy defender, that's a defender that's in the ready area, rest area, or waiting area. Does not count, obviously, the ones in the hospital or the ones on the movement board. And then D, check the turn track for German patrols, coup, retreat, or last stand. So coup, retreat, last stand is over here. But then there's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns where we have to add German patrols. So in turn 1, you have to add 2, turn 3, 2, turn 5, 3, turn 7, 2, turn 9, 3, and finally turn 11, 2. So you already know how to do that, and we need to add 2. And we really hope we don't draw a number 1 now, because then he's gonna block the way back from that supply depot. And we draw number 5, and we're still in the green track. And another one. Oh, number 2. Close call. And that's it. Now we move the turn tracker, and guess what? We have completed the first turn of the game. So I can see that I've been recording for quite a while, and I just want to say that again, moving onwards, it's gonna be a lot quicker. I hope that you have a good concept of how to play the first part of the game. I can also see that I forgot to shovel snow. So this one goes 1, 2. It only goes 1 time for each defender, but the hunter can do it twice, remember. So it's now at 1. So if one person does it again, I get one of these snow tracks. Sorry about that. I was kind of ironic. I was like, yes, you have to follow the numbers, do it correctly, otherwise it can be. Well, it doesn't matter, I promise you guys. This time it didn't matter. But anyway, that is turn 1 of Halls of Hegra, and I think for this time we're going to actually finish the video here, because I think it's going to be too much information for you otherwise. I'll post a new video tomorrow doing a few more turns. So anyway, try to melt the information that I gave you currently and fantasize about what's going to happen next. I can promise you that we're going to go ahead and repair those walls and those guns because we're going to need them, believe me. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.